My initial 53 offense. So just to give you an overview, I picked 24 offensive players. I picked 25 defensive players, and I have the 4 special teamers, including Brendan Schooler. So let's start at quarterback. And some longtime listeners, I used to use a rolling 53-man average when Belichick was here and into Mayo, thinking like there could be some carryover. Obviously, there's a new regime here, so we're just going off of last year, and we'll start a new rolling 53-man average. And I looked at I think it was the opening day roster, not the initial 53-man. After waiver claims and things like that, like they claimed, I think that's when they got Tommy DeVito, and they also got Charles Woods, I think the cornerback, with claims. So last year they kept 3. I am keeping all 3: Drake May, Tommy DeVito, and Baron Morton. Now, I think we all know, like, there's a lot to play out. I know this about their thoughts about the quarterback position. They wanted to get an understudy and possibly to succeed Tommy DeVito at backup. I think that Tommy DeVito had an underwhelming spring. And I think Morton looked good from what we saw of him. I think he has potential. He's got a live arm. I liked what he did on the field. I think there's an outside chance that he displaces DeVito at backup. But, they want to develop another guy, a younger guy, a cheaper guy. And I just think that Morton, if he shows the way I think he is, I think he's going to be too good to sneak on to the practice squad. I could be wrong about that. Maybe he underwhelms in the preseason games and all that stuff. And so definitely could get to a point where he hasn't shown enough. We're going to release him. We're going to keep an extra guy, and then we're going to put him on the practice squad and develop him that way. Definitely possible. But for right now, I have all 3. Running back, they had 3 last year. That would include Antonio Gibson. He was actually the backup to Ramondre Stevenson. Henderson was going to be more of the third, pass back. We know that Gibson got hurt early on in the season. That didn't work out. I am keeping Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson, and Jam Miller. The draft pick, I am releasing Terrell Jennings, Lan Larison, Miles Montgomery. I think a couple of those guys could stick on the practice squad. As far as running back depth, that's where I would look to keep it on the practice squad. I don't think that you need to keep and develop running back depth. And I think we all know what goes on around the league. You keep a couple on your practice squad, then it's no big deal. So I'm not even considering keeping an extra guy there. I mean, I like what I saw of Montgomery. Jennings, I still think, when I see him on the practice field, good player. Larison's coming back from injury, looks good. He's a guy I would like to have on the practice squad. Receiver, last year they kept 6. I have 6, and including 1 trade. The 6 I am keeping: A.J. Brown, Romeo Dobbs, Mac Hollins, Kyle Williams, Efton Chism, and Demario Douglas. I am trading Kayshon Boutte at some point. I don't know if they're going to wait to see if there are injuries or what have you. Releasing 4 rookies: Nick DeGennaro, Cameron Dorner, Jimmy Kibble, Kyle Dixon, and Jeremiah Webb. Again, considering the position, I think there's the ability to sneak guys onto the practice squad. Related to this, there was a question. Let me get to it about Kayshon Boutte. Okay. BH Saunders said, Boutte has been defying predictions of his demise for a couple of years now. Who is he most likely to supplant on your predicted roster? Mac Hollins seems like an older, more expensive player that could show the effects of age. Alternatively, how could there not be room for Boutte when there is for Pop and Chism? So, first of all, Boutte has been defying predictions of his demise for a couple of years now. That's not entirely true. I would say for the past calendar year, he has done that. Before that, he didn't really do much of anything. And in fact, At this time last year, heading into camp, I would say the consensus internally on Kayshon Boutte was, I don't think he's going to make it. I don't think he's going to make the team. But credit to him, credit to Todd Downing, the receivers coach, for the development that Kayshon Boutte showed. He was consistent and improved during training camp, through the season, all that stuff. So he definitely defied predictions, expectations, even internal ones, for the past year. Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins, first of all, the guy's in phenomenal shape. I don't know if you've seen any of his workout videos, what he's doing. The guy's a beast. He's a really good player. He's different. He gives you a lot more length, catch radius. He blocks like a son of a gun. He plays special teams. Boutte's average at best blocker, doesn't play any special teams. He's shorter. I don't know if Boutte's any more explosive than Mac Hollins, maybe. But and then no room for Boutte, but there is for Pop and Chism. Well, Pop and Chism are their quote unquote, and Dobbs. I would say that Dobbs and Chism are more of classic slot players for the Patriots, and Chism loves the block. Certainly blocks well, I would say, for his size. I don't think Boutte would do that if you say put him inside. Say Pop Douglas is a space player. The Patriots don't have much speed. I would say that, on my 53, let me just find it. In terms of like speed guys, it's Williams and Douglas. I mean, do you want a slow plotting offense? I think they're trying to move beyond that. And so if it's close, I'm going with speed, explosiveness. So that's sort of my rationale at receiver. Tight end, fullback. Last year, 3. I am keeping 3 for now. Hunter Henry, Reggie Gilliam at fullback, Eli Raridan as the third guy. I did have Tanner Arkin, undrafted rookie H-back, on my initial 53. I just, excuse me. I decided that there was decent chance that they could get him to the practice squad. I mean, I don't think, when you're talking about claiming guys around the league, are you going to look for, a bigger, stronger guy, blocker type? Are those guys really going to get claimed on 53? Probably no. Could get stolen to a practice squad. That can always, happen. But, Arkin is definitely a guy that I want to see more of. I think he's part, if not the entire reason why they have not made a veteran signing to replace Julian Hill. We knew that they went into this wanting a Julian Hill. I would say that Tanner Arkin, more than CJ Dippre, has more of a chance to fill that Julian Hill role. It's going to be a lot as a rookie, I understand. But I think I want to see what he can do before I do anything. So that's my thinking there. Okay, so what's next on the list? Okay, we have offensive line. I group them into tackles and guard center. At tackle, last year, they have 4. This year, I have 5. I did the opposite at guard center. Last year, they had 5. I have 4. I do have a trade at offensive tackle. I have Marcus Bryant going out. That's, look, I have, obviously, for now, you have the 2 starting tackles, Will Campbell, Morgan Moses. Caleb Lomu is the 3rd offensive tackle. Then I have Demetrius Crownover, the draft pick, and James Hudson, who they signed. It could easily be Hudson and Bryant could easily swap spots where Bryant beats him out and Hudson is now trade bait. I think that you should be able to get something for a tackle that shows something. I think that They have in Crownover, Hudson, and Bryant. I think they have guys that can play in this league. And so that's my thinking there. At guard center, obviously you have Michael Wenu, Jared Wilson, Elijah Vera Tucker, and Ben Brown. Those guys are pretty much locked and loaded. The guys that I cut, I cut all of them. I think that Jacob Rizzi over, say, Caden Wallace or John Darius Morgan have the best chance. I think Rizzi has a chance. I think he could get to the practice squad. I just think as of right now, and again, we haven't seen these guys in pads, so a lot is going to change a week into camp as far as our evaluations of the offensive line, defensive line, edge players, tight end, blocking tight ends, all that stuff when they actually do it in practice. I just don't see anybody worthy on that list of keeping. And I would rather leave that spot open. Maybe I'm claiming somebody from another team, what have you. And maybe that changes the numbers on the offensive line, but that's sort of where I am right now. Let's see if there are any other questions. So I think this is related. Well, I did mention in my column that I don't totally rule out a Morgan Moses trade. And Packers Boy did not really agree with that. Greg, not so sure on the Moses idea of a trade. They still need his experience, and let Lomu gain experience and transition to a starter next year. Yes, in theory. Now, the reason I don't rule out a Morgan Moses trade is it's all dependent on Caleb Lomu. I would say as of right now, the odds are much stronger that he needs almost a full developmental year and Morgan Moses is the starter. I'm allowing for the possibility that Caleb Lomu comes in and at some point when the pads go on and over the course of the summer and the preseason games, that Caleb Lomu as a first round pick looks like one of their best 5 offensive linemen. And when you consider that, when you consider Morgan Moses's age, you could make the argument to like, well, just keep Morgan Moses just in case something happens. And that's fine. And he might be okay with that because he's been a terrific leader for the Patriots. But as we've seen, this regime kind of when guys get supplanted, when veterans get supplanted by younger, cheaper players, Julius Peppers, Kyle Duggar, I'm sure there are other examples, but those are the 2 guys that stand out. Once their role is reduced, the Patriots pretty much get rid of them. So if Caleb Lomu comes in and all of a sudden catches fire and he looks like an NFL starting offensive tackle, and say those other offensive tackles like I talked about, whether it's Crownover, Hudson, Bryant, though, if those guys want at least one of those guys to elevate Lomu to a starter, to trade Morgan Moses, one of those younger guys, it's not just about Lomu. One of those younger guys is going to have to prove or get to the point where the Patriots say he can handle it if Lomu or Will Campbell goes down. That has to happen. I don't rule that out. I'm not saying I prefer that. I don't. And maybe the Patriots were so scarred by last year that they're like, we're going to keep all tackle options because we don't know what's going to happen. And that's certainly possible. But I think that I'm just leaving the possibility open that could happen, that Morgan Moses could be traded. I'm not saying it's at all likely. I'm just keeping it open.